The Runechild Saga, Part 3, Sovereign of Darkness, written by Paul Wilson, narrated by Robert Sebastian Cooper. Prologue.
When the infant took his first breath and came into the world, his mother took her last breath and left it. The infant child, crowned with fists pressed into his cheeks, and although his elbows were tucked tightly into his body, he was still too wide to pass easily through the channel from his mother's womb. The child's inexorable progress split the unfortunate woman wide open. Healing prayers from the attending priests did not flow from their lips as quickly as the blood from the woman's body. Lyndall Creel had always had troublesome pregnancies, never growing full term. She had bled heavily once before, had nearly perished, but the priests had saved her then, if not that of the baby. This time, Lady Lyndall was not so lucky, and neither were the priests. The newly made widower drew steel heart from the ancient leather scabbard hanging from its belt. The broadsword had been crafted 4.5 centuries ago, when the city of Bayleck was nothing more than a keep and a wall built on a cliff to watch for pirates. Then the blacksmiths had forged the blade for Maelish Bayleck, the lord of the keep at that time, and it had been passed down through the family for generations. Now it was in the hands of Feldon Creel, lord of Bayleck City. His father had wielded it, and his father before him, and it was Feldon's dream to pass the weapon down to his son when the boy became 16, when the boy became a man. But that would be impossible now. The babe lay naked upon the birthing blanket where he had emerged from his mother, deathly quiet, and with pallid grey skin coloured only by his mother's vital fluids. Harbouring shattered dreams of passing the weapon to his son, the furious lord instead offered it to the nearest attending priest, point first. The holy man's white gown, already stained by Lady Lyndall's lifeblood, grew a deeper crimson as the 3-inch blade was driven into the man's back and up through his right lung. As the metal tip jutted out through the old priest's chest, his bald head jerked backwards, and a red gasp spurted from his mouth. The weapon was already pursuing its next victim before its first had fallen to the floor. The second man's eyes went wide as realization of his fate, and the edge of the blade hit home simultaneously. A red geyser streaked the nearby wall as the headless corpse collapsed, proving Steelheart was every bit as sharp now as it was the day it had been made. The third and final priest was already running away from his liege lord's wrath, the distance between him and the enraged noble increasing with every heartbeat. The door to his dead patient's bedchamber had been fortuitously left agape, and salvation was merely a hasty scramble distant. Lord Creel, encased in shining but bulky emerald plate mail, knew he could not close the gap before the man was through the door, and so did not even try. Instead, he raised the weapon high above his head, both hands clutching the hilt as if to execute a kneeling criminal. His body snapped forward, arms wheeling down in a typical coup de grace motion. But his fingers splayed suddenly, and the sword made silver circles in the air. The fleeing priest cried out, a squeal of disbelief, pain and terror, and staggered onto his hands and knees as the hurled weapon caught his left leg. The weapon clattered beside the tumbling holy man. The gash it had opened in his limb, bad enough that he was unable to get his feet under him and resume his swift departure. Lord Creel marched purposefully over to the crawling man and pressed a heavy boot down upon the priest's spine. Feldon heard the priest's panicked pleas, but himself said not a word as he drew now a dagger from his belt and stooped to grimly finish what his ancestral blade had started. The prayers of the fallen man wheezed into choking.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?